He saw that all the Buddha lands in the 10 directions had 6 paths, and the suffering was tremendously intense, especially in the 3 evil paths. Thus he wanted his first vow to be that there would be no 3 evil paths in the land he would create. This is how this great vow came to be. The Chinese often say, read 10,000 books, travel 10,000 miles. Listening to lectures on the sutras is like reading books, and seeing all the Buddha lands is like traveling 10,000 miles. Because he heard with his own ears and saw with his own eyes, Dharmakara Bodhisattva's knowledge and wisdom were true. He had such abundant knowledge and experience that he was able, by selection, to create his own land. This was how the land of ultimate bliss came about. The causes and conditions for how the land of ultimate bliss came about were different from those for the other Buddha lands. The causes and conditions for the latter were complicated and not simple. Good ones and bad ones were mixed together. In the Western Pure Land, Dharmakara chose only pure and virtuous dharmas. His purpose was to provide a wonderful learning and practice environment for the beings from all the Buddha lands in the 10 directions who truly generate the great mind and who aspire to understand and transcend the cycle of birth and death and attain Buddhahood in one lifetime. He wanted to provide the best learning and living environment. For 5 kalpas, he diligently sought and explored, respectfully and carefully persevered, and cultivated merits and virtues. The words sought and explored mean that one needs to clearly recognize and understand the virtuous dharmas and the bad dharmas, and the good and bad retributions. And then one needs to end all wrongdoings and to cultivate all virtues. The words respectfully and carefully persevered mean that one needs to be respectful when interacting with people and engaging in tasks. A respectful mind is the true mind. In addition to being respectful, one needs to carefully persevere so that one will not lose what one has learned and practiced. The word cultivated means correcting one's faults and applying one's learning to life. 5 kalpas is the time Dharmakara spent cultivating and forming vows. There are several ways to measure kalpas. Increasing and decreasing kalpas is the one that is most often heard of. Shakyamuni Buddha said that in the Saha world, the shortest lifespan of humans averages about 10 years. At this point, the suffering in this Saha world is tremendously intense. Every 100 years, the lifespan increases by 1 year, until the lifespan reaches 84,000 years. Then subsequently, every 100 years, the lifespan decreases by 1 year, until the lifespan is again down to 10 years. One cycle of an increasing and a decreasing lifespan is a small kalpa. 20 small kalpas make up 1 medium kalpa. 4 medium kalpas make up 1 great kalpa. The kalpas mentioned in the Mahayana Sutras refer to great kalpas. Dharmakara Bhikkhu spent such a long time cultivating that he was able to truly take in all the strengths of all the Buddha lands and reject the shortcomings. He thoroughly understood all the merits and adornments of the 21 kotis of Buddha lands as thoroughly as he understood one Buddha land. The Buddha land he created surpassed all Buddha lands. 21 is not an actual number. It represents perfection. For example, in the Amitabha Sutra, the number 7 represents perfection. It signifies the 4 directions, the zenith, the nadir, and center. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, 10 is used to represent perfection. Counting from 1 to 10, 10 is a complete and perfect number. 10 tens is 100, also a complete number. Tibetan Buddhism uses 16 and 21 to represent perfection. The Buddha land he created surpassed all Buddha lands. The Buddha land he created refers to the land of ultimate bliss that he established. All Buddha lands refers to the 21 kotis of Buddha lands. The Western Pure Land is an amalgamation of the wonderful strengths of all the Buddha lands. It has all the strengths of the Buddha lands and is free of all the shortcomings. Naturally, it surpasses all these Buddha lands and fulfills Dharmakara's great vows. The sentence from the excerpt is saying that the land of ultimate bliss has been created. The prerequisite for rebirth in the Western Pure Land is a pure mind. When the mind is pure, the land will be pure. The Buddha taught us to cultivate a pure mind with belief, vow, and practice. True belief, sincerely vowing, and single-mindedly chanting Amitofo will help us suppress wandering thoughts, discriminations, and attachments. In doing so, we will meet the initial standards for purity and be reborn in the Pure Land, in the land where sages and ordinary beings dwell together. Excerpt 14. He dwelt in true wisdom and courageously made focused and diligent progress. The Buddha mentioned true 3 times in the Infinite Life Sutra. Here we have true wisdom. Of all the teachings, one gets to know Buddhism. Moreover, one learns the Pure Land method of Mahayana teachings. Also, one chooses belief, vow, and Buddha name chanting and seeks rebirth in the Western Pure Land. And one's mind steadfastly dwells in this. Such is dwelling in true wisdom. In practicing the Pure Land method, one follows the principle of no doubt, no intermingling, and no interruption. One also diligently learns and practices using the method of the perfect control of the 6 senses with continuous pure thoughts, taught by Mahast Amaprapta Bodhisattva. This is courageously making focused and diligent progress. Everything in this world is illusory. We need to be truly awakened. People often say, we bring nothing with us at birth, and we take nothing with us at death. Only mindfully chanting the Buddha name and seeking rebirth in the Western Pure Land, where our lifespan will be as infinite as that of Amitabha Buddha, is real. Without life, everything is futile. This is true wisdom. Nothing is truer than this. Excerpt 15. He accumulated and nurtured moral conduct. He gave no rise to any thoughts of greed, anger, ignorance, or desire. He was not attached to form, sound, smell, taste, texture, or mind object. Accumulating merits and virtues should start with giving no rise to any thoughts of greed, anger, ignorance, or desire, as well as not being attached to form, sound, smell, taste, texture, or mind object. When there is no greed, anger, ignorance, desire, or wandering thoughts, and when one does not yield to external temptations, this is merit. If one cultivates this way, one will attain a pure mind, from which wisdom will arise. When one has meditative concentration and wisdom, one has great benefit. Meditative concentration and wisdom come forth when the true mind is active. As a result, one is able to control one's destiny anywhere in the universe. When one does not have meditative concentration and wisdom, one is controlled by affliction and temptation. This is pitiable. Therefore, cultivation is nothing but this: internally, ridding oneself of greed, anger, and ignorance, and externally, cutting off all temptations. This excerpt teaches us a principle of learning and practice. When we have thoughts of greed, anger, ignorance, or desire, our behavior will not be proper and will need reforming.